We're the environmental psychology group at the University of Vienna. This is just one in a series of videos from ZeroPM where we talk about investigating and tackling PFAS pollution. If you'd like to know more about what PFAS are or how the chemists plan to tackle them, then please see one of the many videos in this list. Today, my colleagues and I are going to talk about a small part of our work as social scientists within the ZeroPM project. So first things first, what is the role of social sciences in understanding the risks and benefits of chemical pollutants like PFAS?
So as social and behavioral scientists, we deal with human thought, decisions with behaviors. We try to describe them, we try to explain them. For example, what do people think the risks and benefits are that belong to different substances or materials, such as plastic, such as PFAS? Do they worry about the impact on natural environments? Do they worry about the impact on human health, even though the evidence is perhaps not quite there? Is it both? Or does it maybe depend on who you're talking to? It's really important to talk to different groups in society and represent their views, to engage them, to give them voice. And this is important because when we try to regulate something, we need to understand whether people will accept it, whether there's going to be a lot of conflict, and whether they're supported. So when products disappear, when products change, it's important to know what the public thinks about this.
In terms of how we get people thinking and talking about these often quite complex issues, we have a range of tools and methods available to us. One such method is online surveys, where we can ask experts and non-experts from a range of background about key measures relating to chemical substitution. This helps us get a better understanding of how widespread different beliefs and views are across the EU. Another tool we have is in-depth interviews with card sorting tasks that help to get people engaged in thinking about, for example, how essential different items are to everyday life, whether they think those items contain chemicals, and more importantly, whether they think those items should be allowed to contain chemicals like PFAS.
As part of ZeroPM, my role is to consider how lay people understand how PFAS substances get into human bodies, essentially. So ecotoxicologists understand very well the routes and the pathways by which different PFAS substances enter the human body. It might be through these things being in the wastewater system that get uptake through drinking water. It might be through, for example, sewage sludge and uptake in plants that people eat. But whether or not lay people understand these processes is really important as to whether that influences their behaviours in terms of purchasing certain products or their support for regulatory policies and frameworks. So what we're going to be doing as part of ZeroPM in this work package is interviewing a whole range of lay people to understand what we call their mental model of how PFAS substances enter their bodies or enter the bodies of workers, young children and so forth, to see if they align with those of the experts. And if they don't, what steps we could take in order to improve their understanding and reduce any uncertainties they might have about the potential pathways of these PFAS products into their bodies.
We need to arm people with the information they need to make informed decisions about PFAS going forward, whether this be to buy or avoid certain products which contain PFAS, or to support policies which aim to regulate or authorise certain uses of PFAS. Once we understand how different groups reason about chemical substances like PFAS, we can design and test best practice communications for these key groups. This kind of information can help consumers better understand the risks and benefits of PFAS, but can also help policymakers and industry better predict why people might react a certain way and why.